Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Zondags Weekday Late Show live here on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm so glad you're here. Um, let's wait a couple of seconds for everyone to chime in, right? And we get started right after this. Hello, everybody. Good day, my dear friends and girls and boys and men and women. So glad you made it here on the Facebook Live and on the YouTube Live, of course, when you're watching this there. And if you're watching the replay, also very cool you're here, probably on YouTube or on LinkedIn or wherever you are. So cool you're here. Love to connect with you, of course. So please hit the like and hit the subscribe and hit the connect and type in replay, type in live. Give me the love, people. And yeah, we're going to talk about personal development, about everything that makes your life better than it already is. Because we're in hard times. I get it. We talk about that every day. And I thought, we need some positive vibes in today's world and in today's lives. So also, some practical tips and tricks you might be inspired by to incorporate in your life yourself to make your life even better. Not better, but better. I'm from the Netherlands, so excuse me the language. I might just slip some words on the wrong way or grammatically like screw it up, but never mind. I'll try my best to talk as much as good English as possible. So thank you so much for being here. And yeah, great to hear from you. If you're watching this live, please comment on the show as well. Of course, if you have any ideas or want to chime in, just put in the comments there, and I'll see them pop on my screen right over there. And of course, if you're listening to this at the podcast, welcome in just the only sound at the moment. If you're listening this, maybe driving your car, maybe doing some iron work or working out. I don't know what you're doing, but please be careful out there and take care of yourself, of course. So great you're here. We're going to talk today about a subject that is all based on what we're doing here, actually, right? And that is, of course, how to create happiness. I mean, it sounds maybe a little bit fluffy, right? Happiness, I want to kumbaya and dance and like meditate and talk to the spirits. No, that's not it. I mean, that's for some people, maybe you, that's a way to do it, but there's so much more we can create and do to create happiness. And the funny thing about happiness is that we're all striving for happiness. We all want to thrive on happiness. Happiness is the core thing that is leading all of us, right? It doesn't matter where you're from, how old you are. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, if you're black or you're white, or if you're where you're from, old, young, it doesn't matter. We all want happiness, right? Because happiness is natural. And I'm reading this book by this very, very intriguing man who has a very, very inspiring story. He lost his son, and at 21, his son was 21 years old, and he lost him. He died, and he found a way to cope with that. Like the biggest struggle you could ever have in life, right? Lose one of your kids is probably the hardest thing anyone can encounter, and he came over that in a way to create, to focus on what is happiness and how can I create that in my life. This book is it's absolutely one you should read, and it's called, let me get it here. I got the title somewhere laying around here. It's called, oh wait, Solve for Happy by Mo Gawdat. And he has this very simple saying, quote, where it's all about. The secret to being happy is to not feel unhappy. Because what he says, happiness is a natural state we're all in. It's something that if you're like a normal way, right, without any, the most purest way that you can be, you are happy. Look at kids, right? Look at kids. If they get everything going on for them, I mean, they're not in physical pain or they're not struggling or worrying or stuff going on, just being, right? Playing around, that's happiness, right? So our core state in life is happiness. That's like the baseline, right? And I believe that's very true. I mean, that is indeed the thing we want to create the balance, right? When you talk to someone who is in balance, he will say that he also feels happy. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a day off or an off day or feel bad now and then, but in essence, you're happy. So we want to strive, we want to go for that feeling, that natural feeling of happy. And what do we want? What you need to do for that is to eliminate the unhappiness, right? Because if you eliminate the unhappiness in your life, you are left with happiness. So, and of course, it's easier said than done, right? Because when we grow up, we get more responsibilities and we start worrying and we learn to think in a certain way that is creating our unhappiness in life often, right? There's so much things that are being pushed towards us that makes us succeed in life. You have to achieve certain things to be successful, to don't let people down in your life. You don't want to let your parents down for who you become, right? You want to achieve things in your life, whatever that is. And if you're not achieved those, and maybe even deeper core in your who you are, you're kind of leaning more towards the unhappy things, right? Because you're striving for I want to solve things, I want to get things better, so I want to make things better, and then I'll be happy. And a lot of wise people always say, it's not the path that will make you happy, or it's not the goal that will make you happy. It's the path towards the happiness that will make you happy. It is the happy feeling in the now, right? You don't feel happy in the future. The future is not real, right? The future is up there. It's in our mind. We think about the future and we project things to the future and we make dreams to become true in the future. But the future is nothing. It's in our mind, just like the past is in our mind, right? There is no past. It's non-existent except in our heads, in our mind, in our brain, right? We remember things. We remember events in another time-space continuum, but it's not real anymore. The only thing which is real is now, right? It's the set of molecules and energy that's surrounding us right now. Even the beginning of the show, what you're watching, is not real anymore. It's in the past. It's in our memory. It's in our brain. So the only thing that's real and the only moment you can feel certain things is in the now. You can't feel into the future. Your idea about the future will give you things for how you feel in the now, right? Makes sense. So if we want to feel happy, we need to make sure that we declutter ourselves and detach ourselves from the past and the future. Because if they influence us in a way that we don't feel happy, we got to do something about it, right? So if we take that even further, what makes us unhappy? The things in our mind, most of them, right? If you're unhappy about the things you're planning for your future or the worries you have about yourself in the future or from your kids or whatever it is that you're worrying about, if you have that, it's projected from the future. If you're unhappy because you had an experience that wasn't pleasant, you're feeling unhappy because of the past, right? Which is not real anymore. It's gone. It's in the past. It happened. And, if we can detach ourselves from that, we don't feel unhappy anymore. So what I want to talk about today is 3 things you can do instantly to increase your happiness. And it's all focused around this idea about how you can create happiness in the now, in this moment in time, right? So how you can feel happy. And there's this funny thing going on in our minds, right? The way our mind and our body works, that's combined together. Hormones are being used to make you make you feel in a certain way. Things in our brain light up, that will trigger things which makes you feel better or worse. And so we want to kind of biohack those kind of things, right? Now, a good way to do that, or a common way to do that, is to numb our brain, right? We start to drink, or we start to smoke, or we start to use drugs, or even more or less bad, maybe in general, eating, right? Sweet, sugar. It makes you feel better because it triggers hormones again, and it makes you feel better. If you eat chocolate, there's this little substance in there which will make you feel better. So should we all eat chocolate till we, drop? No, of course not. That's not healthy anymore. And if you're not healthy, you can't live. And if you can't live, you can't feel. So if you can't feel, what's the point, right? So we want to create a healthy way that you can feel happy in the now without all the other stuff that we just said. So it's just 3 things that you can do. 3 easy things. Now, the first thing is understand what I just said. If you detach yourself from the past and the future, you can focus on the now. So you're watching this right now, right? How do you feel right now? Right now. How do you feel? Just talk to yourself and call out, how do I feel? Well, I can tell you, I feel pretty good right now, right? I'm here. I'm sitting comfortably in my chair in my home studio. I'm talking to you guys, my dearest friends, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on the podcast, of course, on LinkedIn. There's so many people I can talk to right now, which is totally awesome. I mean, go back like 15, 20 years ago, right? You couldn't do that. You couldn't have your own Zondag weekday live show. I mean, that's impossible, right? But because of today's technology and the things we are doing and the phones we have and the cameras and the equipments and everything that we hear, and we're all connected, we can connect. And we're living in the hard days, right? It is COVID out there, right? It's danger out there, of course. And it's hard for us. I mean, there's so much trouble going on in the world. But that doesn't matter because you're here right now doing what you're doing. And how do you just right now, how do you feel? Think about that. You can decide how you start feeling. And that brings me to the second one, because happiness or unhappiness or sadness or any emotion that you have can be created by the heartbeat, right? It can be created by a heartbeat. So how does that work? Well, it's really easy. Let me just tell you a short story. So when I think I was 13 years old, I really loved my granddad, right? He was an amazing man for me. He was sweet. He was caretaking. He was a real grandpa, right? An old man sitting in his chair in his suit, smoking cigars, and he loved cars. And I also love cars. So whenever he came to our place and I knew he was coming, and sometimes even if I didn't know that he was coming, he would pick me up from school, right? So I was walking out of school, end of school day, and there it was, this old, or well, it wasn't old back then, but this nice yellow Vauxhall City Sport, which is like a coupe, right? A coupe. And this is like back in the 80s, right? So I was seeing that car and I was like, oh, it's granddad, right? It's grandpa, he's here. So I run to the car and I sit in the back, and he will drive like a crazy, like real tough, and like he was Nicky Lauda himself, right? So he brought me home, and I felt so much love and so much enjoyment about that. I really was so crazy about my granddad. And then on February 16th, 1986, we got a phone call that my granddad was not feeling well and he had to be transported into the hospital. And his kidneys kind of stopped working. So I remember that we got in our cars and with my dad and my mom and my brother, and we went to my aunt who lived close by to them and to my grandparents. And we were just sitting and waiting there, right? So we could sleep there to wait for the next day, because would maybe be better or not. And I remember very vividly. I mean, this is like decades ago, right? It's 98. It was 1986. So go figure. I was 13 years old, and I remember that I was playing there with my nephews, or my cousins. Sorry, my cousins, and they had these cool toys which I don't played with, because they're their toys, so it's cool to play with other kids' toys, right? So that was cool, and we were playing, but I wasn't in the mood, of course, because I knew I was worried about my granddad, right? Was worried about that, and I remember that the hospital called and they said, he's feeling better. So I was relieved, right? Oh, maybe this little piece of hope was in there. Maybe this was just an incident, and Grandpa will be okay, and he'll be out of the hospital tomorrow, and I'll go hug him, and I can smell the cigar, right? I mean, it's just going back to that idea. And so I went to bed very hopeful with things, and the next morning my mom came to our beds, and she told us that Grandpa had died that night. And my heart broke, right? It was Grandpa. How could he be dead? But he was. And so it was February 19th. I remember that date still, when he died. And yeah, that took a big hit on me, right? I really struggled with that for years, and for a time, and because I also saw the pain in my mom's heart, right? She also, I mean, she lost her dad. Go figure. So that really was a painful situation, and talking about it still makes me feel that same feeling I had back then as a 13-year-old kid. Now this is the proof that you can change your state, how you feel, within a heartbeat. Because let me know in the comments if you felt it as well, right? If you felt the pain of this 13-year-old kid, me, 13 years old, of losing your granddad, right? And if you're human, you probably would have felt that as well, because we empathize, right? We feel the pain of others. But that's because we can see what's going on, and we can understand what that feeling is for yourself. So we can change our state within seconds. We can do that ourselves. The surrounding may be telling you a story, like I just did, which will change your feelings, the way you feel happy or not, or sad. Or when you do it yourself, when you're going back in time in your memory, talking about it actually makes it stronger. And that story, my memory of my granddad and how he died, which isn't like crazy. It's not a crazy story, right? The man was 72 years old, had a good life, and he died. That happens every day all over the world, right? So it's not a big deal in that case. But for me as a 13-year-old, it is a big deal. And I remember that feeling, and I can relate to that feeling because I remember that. So I changed my state. Now, I can change my state again because I can also think of things that will make me happy. Like I just said, I'm happy that you guys are here and that you're watching, and that I can share this story with you. That's actually a good feeling that I can share that story, and to show my emotion there for you guys, and make that connection with you guys. That makes me feel good as well, right? So I just changed my state again, right? It's that simple, guys. And we can linger on, yeah, but there are all these things going on, and I can't change the way I feel. I'm just a sensitive person, and I feel in a certain way, and I can just not block my feelings. It's not about blocking your feelings. It's about making the decisions about how do you want to feel in the now. It's not about the future. It's not about the past. Past are memories, and you can think of them and use them as a tool, actually, just like I just did, but then in a sad way, right? But I don't want to make myself feel sad normally. I just did it for you guys to demonstrate this, how easy it is. But you can do it also with the things that are good in your life, right? If you have kids, remember the day your kid was born. It was the best day of your life, right? If you don't have kids, but you have another memory that will make you happy, doesn't matter what it is, whatever memory you have that makes you feel good, that you were as ecstatic about, right? Your childhood dream came true, whatever it is. It could be your 16-year-old getting your driver's license, or whatever it is. You can change your state instantly. So to go back to the quote of Mr. Mo, I love his name, by the way, Mo. Mo Goddard, the secret to being happy is not to feel unhappy. So choose not to feel unhappy, right? You can change that feeling in an instant. So that's the second one. And the third one is also a technique that I've learned by finding how do you call that, by finding the true meaning of what you're doing and what you're planning to do, right? So I was talking about how the goal itself is not making you happy, right? It's a projection in your head. It's a picture of yourself in the future, which will make you feel good, right? And but that vision you have, that can be envisioned really inside. I mean, you can actually close your eyes and see the picture in your head, like on a big TV screen, or however you see it, or floating yourself above and seeing the scene you're in the future is also a way to create your own happiness. But not about something, that will create an instant feeling of, oh, I'm joy and those kind of things. No, it's more about a steady way of feeling happy. And feeling happy is also feeling content, right? If you're content about a situation that you're okay with, you're feeling in the comfort zone, you're doing fine, you're doing stuff that you like, and you know you're good at it, right? I talked about this in another episode as well. If you're an actor and you need to go on a stage without any practice, you're not going to feel very comfortable, right? So you're not going to feel pretty happy on stage then. But if you practiced and you know your role and you know your lines, you can go on the stage and do it because you practiced it, you understood it, you mastered it, and you know what to do. You're confident, and you created this comfort zone. So when you create this comfort zone, and you can even project the comfort zone, right, from the picture in your head for the future. So if, for example, if you want to build a business, or you want to date a girl, or whatever it is, right? So let's go with that. You want to date a girl, you like her, and you maybe even talk to her once. You got her phone number, but you're anxious about, should I call, should I text, what should I do? So you can project yourself into the future picture of you and her being together. That alone could make you happy, right? It's again the projection of a feeling changed with a heartbeat, right? You can change your feelings by how would you feel in the future about that. That's the second one. But the third one is far more interesting, because the third one you create it within a certainty that it will happen in that way. And what do I mean with that? Well, if you know what to do, if you know that you shouldn't just text her, but you should call her and say, hey girl, so good to talk to you again. I had a really good time the other day when we met. Really nice meeting you, and I would love to take you out or go for a walk, because it's a COVID and we can't meet up in a restaurant. So let's go for a walk on the beach, or whatever you find interesting for yourself to do with her. And you say, let's do that. Let's hook up in the weekend. If you know what to do, are you in your comfort zone? If you know where to go and how to move, then unhappiness is gone. Because unhappiness is related to uncertainty, right? Worry, not knowing what will happen. If you will know what happened, because you know what to do and you can predict the outcome for pretty decent percentage of success, you're going to be happy, because you know that the future result will get where you want, right? Will make you get where you want to be. And that alone will create that feeling of happiness. And you can do that on every and on any subject, right? It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Whatever it is that you want to be or you want to be good at, if you create knowledge, if you create experience, if you gain experience, if you learn new stuff and you get better at it, you feel more comfortable and you feel happy doing it. I um, I um, I had that myself when playing tennis, for example. I played tennis when I was a kid, around the age of when my dad, when my granddad died, actually. So I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, something like that. And then for like 20, 30 years, I didn't play any tennis. So a couple of years ago, I picked it up again and it was terrible, right? It was horrible. I couldn't do it anymore as well as I thought I could. And I needed to practice. But it was fun to practice because I liked the game. So the game itself, the playful game itself, with all the things that it has, I like that. I have sympathy for that. So I like to practice. So when I actually started doing the practicing and I started seeing my improvement in it and getting better, I enjoyed it more, right? Because now I like to play the games. Now I really like to go for a game. Now I like to go for a match. Not that I always win, of course, and I try to pick my opponents as well, that they will be better as me so I can learn from them. So the learning process itself of getting better at it is actually a part of my comfort zone. So it's not only that my comfort zone has been grown because I became more, better at tennis. No, it's also the process of creating my improvement is getting better, and that itself being part of my comfort zone. So learning new things has become something of my comfort zone. So whenever I learn new stuff, and that can be a hard situation, right? Because sometimes the moments you learn means that you didn't succeed and you learn from that. You need to adapt to the things that you did do, and then you got to go move on to the next thing and try again. And when you do that, that's still hard, right? And it still can make you feel unhappy. If it's something crucial for your life and you're not succeeding and you feel you're failed, right? That feels terrible. You're not feeling happy. That's one unhappy feeling. So then you can change the mindset. You can say, okay, wait, this is a learning experience. And from learning experiences, I like to learn. So that instantly changes my whole perspective of things. And I can change my way of feel because unhappiness is gone because I created something within my comfort zone, which is learning, right? So those are the three things that I wanted to share today with you. And I hope you'll get something out of it. So let me know in the comments which of these three are the ones that you pick out the most, right? So create the unhappy feelings, or where to choose from which feelings you have, and be okay with the fact that they're there, and balance them out. Is it more of, I want to focus on the things that I can think of in like present and future, so I can really project my way of feeling right now? Or the third one, am I a comfort zone expander? Am I creating a bigger comfort zone so there's more for me to be comfortable about and then feel happy about it? So let me know in the comments down below where you're at, which of these three is the ones that you're going to try out. I'm really curious to know what that is. And let me know in the comments as well if what happened? How do you feel? What happened when I told the story? What did it do for you? Put it down in the comments. I'd love to see them. Don't forget, or at least, do us all a favor. If you want to see these videos more, just click on the like, on the hearts. Give me a replay if you're watching this in a replay. #replay. Damn, I did it again. #replay. There it is. And of course, please come back the other days. I mean, I'm here every day, probably so much as I can. Sometimes live may come in, right? So for example, tomorrow evening, I'm actually going to a small theater piece, so I might not be able to do a live show tomorrow, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just grab my phone and do something crazy with that. I don't know. We'll just see. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, right? So it's in the future. I'm not sure what they're gonna do tomorrow, but the plan is to be here every day, every weekday, same time, same place. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye. Yeah. Good old granddad. Funny.